if yeah, yeah. That's much
Yep,
better. Yeah, yeah,
all
that's much
good.
better. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, thanks for having me, everyone. Uh, Most WordPress sites I work on have an SEO plugin installed. So think about Yoast, Rank Math, SEO Press, all-in-one SEO. Pick your favorite, and they're all useful tools. The problem starts when configuring the plugin becomes the actual SEO strategy. And that's what I'm going to cover today because I see a lot happening in WordPress sites and WordPress freelancers and agencies. So most of us have probably done this. So say you're editing your page, your SEO plugin keeps complaining, as they always do. So you tweak things until eventually everything turns green because those SEO plugins, they love those traffic lights, those red, amber, and green. So everything turns green, lovely, fantastic. SEO is done and we can all go home, right? Except that green light doesn't mean that the page deserves to rank. It means you've satisfied a collection of checks that the plugin knows how to perform. And those checks can be useful, but the plugin doesn't know whether that page should exist, whether three other pages are saying the same thing on your website, or whether a real person arriving from Google search will actually find it useful. So I've inherited sites before with beautifully completed SEO fields everywhere. Service pages called web design, website design, WordPress web design, custom web design, all the good things, and all basically doing the same job. Now, the plugin itself isn't going to tap you on the shoulder and say, well, I think you've got a bigger problem here, mate. And that's the green light problem. We confuse page optimization and feedback with SEO strategy. So be honest with yourselves. Have you ever chased the green lights? I certainly have. I've been guilty of doing that. And just to be clear, I'm not bashing the SEO plugins. The problem isn't the SEO plugin. These plugins themselves are actually very good at doing the jobs they're designed to do. So before I spend the rest of the talk explaining what an SEO plugin can do, I should say this. The SEO plugins themselves are generally useful. I use them. You should probably use one too. And they handle a lot of the technical plumbing, as I call it, stuff that I don't want to create on every WordPress website that I'm creating. Things like titles, descriptions, canonicals, XML sitemaps, robots, files, schema, social metadata, redirects, all that good stuff. This is valuable, really valuable. But notice what these things have in common. They're mostly describing or controlling content that already exists. So say I built a page called WordPress Support Sydney. The plugin can help me set the title, the canonical, the schema, whatever it appears in the sitemap, which is brilliant. But it can't tell me whether that page is useful, whether it duplicates another support page on the website, or whether anyone can actually reach it from the rest of the site. So I want the SEO plugin doing all that boring plumbing stuff, because that's exactly what computers should be doing. The plugin can help describe the page, but it can't answer the more important question, which is why does this page exist at all? So that's probably the question I wish more people ask before installing and opening an SEO plugin. Why does this page exist? Not what keyword are we targeting, not whether the title is 58 or 62 characters long, not whether we've filled in the meta description or not, but why does this page exist? Who's it for? What problem does it solve? What does it add that another page on the site doesn't already do? And does it actually need to be a separate page? Or can we combine those into like a single page, a single idea? Because once one page exists, WordPress makes it very, very easy to optimize it. But optimization doesn't automatically justify the page's existence in the first place. The plugin can help you describe the page, but it can't decide whether creating the page in the first place was a good idea. So here's a practical example, going back to some of those pages I mentioned earlier. Imagine a small agency site with pages for web design, website design, WordPress web design, custom WordPress websites, WordPress development. So maybe there's a really strategic reason for all these 5 pages, but quite often what I find is there isn't. It all comes down to someone has created a new page every time they thought of another SEO keyword. And now the SEO plugin is happily helping optimize these 5 pages that are basically saying the same thing. So what I'm trying to get here is that that's not an SEO strategy. That's just a big filing cabinet with commitment issues. And this becomes particularly important in WordPress because WordPress is extremely enthusiastic about creating URLs for us. So one of WordPress's greatest strengths is that it makes publishing incredibly easy. And one of WordPress's greatest weaknesses is that it makes publishing incredibly easy. So think about pages, posts, categories, tags, authors, dates, custom post types, custom taxonomies, products, product categories, archives, filters, sometimes URLs generated by plugins that nobody remembers installing in the first place. Now, WordPress is very good at saying, sure, you can have another URL. But the more important question is, should that URL exist as something search engines can index? So that's not a plugin setting, that's an architecture question. So here's another example. Just say you inherit a blog with 120 posts. It also has 14 categories and 97 tags. Most of the tags contain one post, some contain none. I'm sure you can relate. I'm sure you've inherited a website, you've looked at the posts, they've got 100 tags, and like none of them have any posts assigned to it. Suddenly, your little 120 post website has generated a much larger collection of archive URLs around it. And those URLs are all public and they're all being able to be indexed by Google. Now, the SEO plugin can help you index those archives, and that's good. But it can't tell you whether those taxonomies, those URLs, were a sensible content model in the first place. WordPress is basically an overly helpful waiter of URLs. It says things like, would Sir like another archive with that? So categories, tags, archives, they aren't inherently bad. They can be extremely useful. But the problem is creating them without a clear purpose. So rather than ask whether WordPress can generate the URL, I think we need a much simpler rule. So here's the one rule that I think is worth taking back to your next WordPress projects. Every indexable URL needs a reason to exist. Not every URL needs to rank. Not every archive needs to disappear. But if we are intentionally allowing search engines to index something, we should understand what value it adds to the website, what value it adds to the business. So is it a useful category page? Is it a product archive that people are generally browsing? Is it a location with a unique content? Is it a useful author archive on a publication website where authors actually matter? Or is it just there because WordPress has generated it? That's a distinction. A plugin, an SEO plugin, can control whether something is indexed or not. But we, as website owners, as web design, as freelancers, we still have to decide whether it deserves to be there in the first place. So here's another example. Imagine a WooCommerce website. You've got a product category for, say, running shoes. Great, that's probably a useful category. Then you've got filters for size, color, brand, material, gender, sales stats, availability, all those kind of things. So depending on how the website is built, some of those combinations may generate their own crawlable public URLs. So now you've moved away from one product category called running shoes that might be really useful for its customers. Now you've ended up with thousands of technically valid URLs that probably don't all deserve to be a search destination. So the question isn't, can I rank math or SEO press or ghost no index this? The question is, which of these pages are genuinely useful to be search engine landing pages? So just because WordPress can put a front door on it doesn't mean that Google needs that particular invitation. So this isn't about making a website really, really tiny. It's about just being intentional with those public URLs if they're needed or not. But even if we've chosen the right pages to exist, search engines still need to understand how those pages all connect with each other. So another place we can get like a false sense of security is the XML sitemap. So we install the SEO plugin, whichever one we use. It generates a sitemap. WordPress does it as well natively. We submit that sitemap to Google Search Console. Excellent. Job done. But a sitemap is not the architecture of the website. It's more like a list of addresses, like one of these old style phone books from yesteryears. It can tell a search engine these pages exist, but it doesn't particularly explain well, these are the important pages, this is how they relate, and this is how people move through the website. That information comes much more from things like navigation, hierarchy, breadcrumbs, internal links. So if one of your most important service pages can only really be discovered because it happens to be sitting in an XML sitemap, I would say that we've got a website problem before we've got an SEO problem. So again, imagine you build a page for your client's highest value service. It's beautifully written. It's in the sitemap. The SEO fields are perfect. But it's not in the main navigation. Nothing on the home page links to it. None of the related blog posts link to it. And there's no service overview page pointing towards it. So technically, Google may still discover it from the sitemap, but we've given both Google and humans very few clues that this page is actually an important one. So when you're thinking about a sitemap, think of a sitemap as a guest list, but not the seating plan. It's not the important job. Sitemaps are useful, especially for larger and changing websites. They're just doing a different job. Their addresses, their lists, it's not SEO strategy. So instead of only asking, can Google find this page? I think there's a more useful question for us as site builders to think about and to ask in our builds and our client builds. And the question is, how do I get there? So pick one of the most important pages on any website. Maybe it's a high value service. Maybe it's a key product category. Maybe it's like a cornerstone article. Now, what I want you to do is start somewhere else on the website and try and reach that important page naturally. Can you get it from the main navigation? Can you find it from the home page if you're browsing related services? can you get to that page? Can you get to that page from a useful related article? Maybe through breadcrumbs or other contextual links? Or do I basically need to know that exact URL already? So that's when site architecture becomes real. It's not just that kind of parent-child structure in WordPress that we're all used to. It's the actual pathways that we create between useful pieces of content. And that's intentional. It's not something that WordPress can do. It's not something that an SEO plugin can do. It's something that should exist as an SEO strategy, as an architecture when we're building and creating the website. So just say your client owns or offers WooCommerce development as a service. They've also published several articles about things like payment gateways, abandoned carts, checkout optimization. And those articles are getting some Google traffic. But, and here's the problem, none of them links naturally to the WooCommerce service page. And that's an absolute missed opportunity for users and also for search engines to understand how useful this page is. So the content exists and the service exists, but the relationship between them just doesn't. So if the only route to an important page on your website or your client's website is Google probably knows where it is because it's in a sitemap somewhere, then that's not much of an SEO strategy. So I've got a question here, and we can do questions and I'll look through these after. I'll pop one in the chat for everyone. It says, have you ever inherited a site where an important page was basically orphaned? So just what I've been talking about, you just can't get to it, or it's not easy to find out where that important page is. Certainly I have in the past. I've been hired, particularly for this particular problem, in that clients have these 3 or 4 major pages that they want to drive. That's where they drive their business, but traffic is low, and they don't understand why, because the page is there and it's indexed, it's in the sitemap, but for whatever reason, it's not getting traffic. And that's usually because there's no good route for people to find it wherever they're coming in to the website. And this is where developers have a much bigger influence on SEO than we sometimes realize. Because once we put all these decisions into templates, so themes and templates, these start scaling. So here's what I mean. Just say if an editor makes a mistake on one page, that's usually a one bad page. You know, if someone's put in the wrong SEO title or meta description, okay, that's one page, it's one bad mistake, that's okay. However, if we as freelancers, as developers, as theme designers, make a mistake in one template, we can create that same problem 500, 2,000, 10,000 times. So think about product templates, property listings, course pages, events, knowledge base articles, any type of custom post type with like a shared layout. If that template itself is weak, if it's got a bad heading structure, maybe if it's got poor internal linking, duplicated, boilerplate, missing context, unnecessary JavaScript, that problem then scales automatically. It's no longer a single page issue. It's now a multi-page, multi-site architecture issue. But, and this is the good news, the reverse is also true. Fix that one template and you improve hundreds, if not thousands of pages at the same time. That's why technical SEO belongs in the build process, not as like a cleanup task after you launch a website. So again, imagine a property website this time with 2,000 listings. Every listing uses the same single template. That's fairly common. I've created lots of these types of websites in the past. But just say the developer forgets to include, say, breadcrumbs, or maybe they forget to include a link back to that particular property suburb, or property type addresses, things like that. Now, that's not one isolated SEO issue. That developer's just created 2,000 pages with really weak context and weaker internal pathways. But change that template and suddenly all 2,000 pages improve. So if you think about SEO, if you're thinking about SEO strategy, if you are a theme or a site developer or designer, templates are SEO multipliers. But unfortunately, they multiply mistakes too. And of course, these templates don't appear by magic. The theme, the builder, the implementation choices that we make determine what they actually produce. So let's think about builders at the moment. WordPress conversations get a bit of a bit tribal sometimes when people are talking about page builders or site designers. I hear things all the time from Twitter or X, as you call it now, in Reddit. And the conversations go something like this. Elementor is bad for SEO. Or put any of your favorite page builder. Beaver Builder, Divi, yada, yada, Bricks is bad for SEO. Blocks are better because, everyone's going towards native blocks just now. Custom themes always rank better. I see these types of conversations all the time across social media. But I think that's usually far too simple. Search engines don't care whether we've chosen the morally correct WordPress builder. They just see what the implementation actually produces. So how is the content structured? What HTML are we rendering out? How does navigation work? How much JavaScript are we loading? And can the client maintain that particular structure that we built after handover, or does it all collapse in a heap? So I can build a perfectly sensible service page in Elementor. I use Elementor as my page builder of choice. I have done for many, many years. So I can build a perfectly correct service page in Elementor. I know how to do it, do a good job. Or I can build the same page in Elementor with nested containers, headings chosen because of their font size and how they look, important content hidden behind some sort of interaction, click a button or move a tab down somewhere. I can add 20 animations and a whole pile of add-ons. Same builder, but very different implementation. And I can also build a very, very terrible site with native blocks too. So the point is, the important question isn't, is the builder good for SEO? It's what we're producing with it, is that well structured, understandable, and maintainable? And once we've built those templates, well, the next question is whether we're using them to connect related content or just producing a whole collection of isolated pages, which we don't want to do. Internal linking often gets treated as an SEO cleanup task after the website's been published or put live, however you want to talk about that. So publish the article, run the checklist, add 3 internal links, done. I think that misses a bigger opportunity. Internal links are part of how we design the site. If I publish a useful article, what should somebody read or do next? If I've got services, case studies, products, knowledge-based content, how should these things be connected? So imagine an agency publishes a how to speed up WooCommerce checkout, and it starts getting a little bit of search traffic. But they also sell WooCommerce optimization. But that article they've just published doesn't link to that service. The service doesn't link to relevant case studies, and the case studies don't link back to the supporting blog and content article. All these pieces exist, but they're just kind of sitting in separate rooms. That's not really a content system. That's just plain storage. So instead of asking, can we squeeze another internal link into this paragraph? I think the better question to ask is, what is this page connected to? And how does that help and aid the user journey and my website? Of course, developers tend to be much more comfortable with another part of SEO because it gives us Lovely numbers. So developers love performance because it gives us numbers. Things like Lighthouse gives us numbers, Core Web Vitals give us numbers, PageSpeed's Insights gives us numbers. And numbers for us developers, theme designers, they feel reassuring because we can optimize something. We can measure it and we can make that score go up, which is brilliant. And yes, performance absolutely matters. A slow, unstable, frustrating website is a really poor experience. But a 98 out of 100 performance score doesn't mean that that page is useful. It doesn't mean that the page has a clear purpose. It doesn't mean that the site architecture makes sense. And it doesn't mean that someone is actually searching for what that page says. So you can have beautiful core web vitals and still have a web page, still have a website that nobody needs. So sometimes we've just made the wrong page really, really fast. And I know that irks a lot of people in our industry. And I know it can be a difficult conversation talking to a client about this. Maybe they've hired an SEO agency and they've spent thousands of dollars and they're still not getting any traction. Maybe they feel uncomfortable when you look at the website and say, well, actually, those pages are not what people are looking for. You know, it's just content that's there, but people are not looking for it. Or they're looking for all your content here, but it's not linking to how you make money. You know, difficult conversations, but conversations that we should be having. So just say a client has 3 very similar pages and they're all kind of competing with each other. We talked before about having pages like website design, WordPress website design, things like that. So just say they've got weak internal linking and fairly generic content, something that doesn't stand out. We've been hired to make it better, and we spend half a day shaving off, say, 200 milliseconds of the LCP. We need to ask, have we improved the site? Technically, yes. Have we fixed the bigger SEO problem? Probably not. So I kind of think of this as a fast rubbish page is still a rubbish page. It just kind of disappoints you a bit quicker. So this isn't an argument against things like Core Web Vitals or Lighthouse or using those stats. It's more an argument against treating those services as the whole SEO strategy. Because people do love numbers. You know, you've made a page go from grade C to A, or from score number 76 to now 99, which is great. And that's good. But it doesn't tell you whether that page is still useful or whether it should be there in the first place. So performance isn't the only technical feature that sometimes gets more credit than it deserves. Schema. Schema is another area where it's very easy to feel like we've done SEO. We add structured data. The plugins that we use tell us that we've got article schema, product schema, organization schema, FAQ schema, whatever is appropriate, which is great. And structured data can help search engines understand what something is. But again, it doesn't make weak content, bad content, content that's useless, any better. It doesn't make an unnecessary page useful. It doesn't turn a thin service page into something authoritative. And it doesn't guarantee a rich result in Google. So I think of schema a bit like putting labels on boxes in a warehouse. Good labels are useful. They tell you what's inside. They describe what the thing is. But if that whole warehouse, if that whole website architecture is badly organized and everything is in the wrong place and half the boxes contain rubbish, better labels are not going to fix that warehouse. They're not going to fix the architecture. They're not going to make a poor website better. So say you've got a course page, and I'm working with several organizations just now that run LMS, they run LearnDash or other things. So they're running courses. Just say you add a course schema, and that's wonderful. That's a good thing to do. Google, Bing, whatever now understands that that content there on that page is about a course. But what if the actual page itself has barely any information about who the course is for, what they'll learn, how long it takes, why it's useful in the first place? Then that's no good. The schema can describe that it is a course, but it can't make that course page compelling. So none of this means any schema is pointless. Good structured data is generally useful. I'm just saying that it should describe something that already makes sense. Just by adding the schema is not going to make your page any better if the content on there is useless in the first place. And once we see performance, schema, and plugin settings as supporting layers, rather than the actual strategy itself, the obvious question becomes, when should we actually be thinking about SEO? So SEO often gets treated as like the final stage of a WordPress project. We build a site, we add all the content, we finish the templates, and then somebody asks, have we done the SEO? But by then, we've already made most of the important decisions, things we've talked about throughout this talk already. The content types exist, the taxonomies exist, the navigations and the templates exist, the URLs, the thousands of URLs exist. So I'd rather ask the SEO questions while we're making those decisions. So imagine we're building a membership site with 500 resources. If we decide resources will have a type, a topic, and an audience, so that's not just a WordPress data model decision. We're thinking about things like which taxonomies should have public archives, which archives will actually be useful, which resources will connect to related topics, and how will people navigate this when there are now 10,000 resources instead of 500. Now, those are the SEO decisions that should happen during the architecture, when we're actually building these websites. Waiting until launch and kind of taking the index, no index, in my opinion, is much too late to have that SEO conversation. So you don't finish, I like this quote, you don't finish building a house and then ask the contractors where the staircase should go. That's kind of where I think about SEO strategy. So that's what I mean about building SEO strategy rather than bolting it on as like an add-on afterwards, which a lot of people do. So I've got one last chat question here just for you to think about. At what point in your projects that you've inherited or your own websites do you normally start thinking about SEO? Is it in that design phase? Is it in discovery phase? Or are we all concentrated on building the thing? And then once we're putting it live, then we start thinking about SEO and retrofitting, bolting on stuff afterwards. So if SEO belongs in the build process, what should we actually be checking before launch? I think we can reduce this down to 6 fairly simple questions, and here they are. If you want one practical checklist to take away from this talk, I'd use these 6 questions. Number 1, what should actually be indexed? So not everything WordPress generates automatically needs to appear in search, automatically needs to be indexed by Google. Number 2, why does each important page exist? I've talked about this before. Does it have a clear purpose? Or did we create it because somebody found yet another SEO keyword? Number 3 is, can people actually reach it? And this is super important. Can it be reached through navigation, related content? Does it have useful internal links pointing to it? Not just because it happens to be in the XML sitemap. Number 4 is, do the templates make sense? Because if we get the template wrong, we can multiply that SEO problem across hundreds or thousands of pages, depending on what website that we're building. Number 5 is, have we accidentally created unnecessary URLs? So we should be thinking when we're building websites about archives, taxonomies, filters, duplicate structures, whatever the particular site is generating. we should think about how useful those things are in context of SEO while we're building the website. And lastly, number 6 is, can the client maintain it? And this one matters more than sometimes we admit. So if the SEO strategy only survives while the developer is standing next to the client saying, nope, don't create another tag, don't create another category, then we haven't really built a sustainable system. If you carefully design 5 useful categories, but the client can create a new category every time they publish an article, 6 months later, you may end up with 43 different categories. And as we've talked before, maybe one of them has 1 post, maybe 40 of them have 0 posts. So sometimes the technical solution isn't another SEO setting. It might be changing permissions, simplifying the editorial workflow, giving the client clearer publishing rules as to which categories and tags to choose and why. So if the SEO strategy requires the client never to touch WordPress, we've probably got a design problem. And once I can answer all those questions, then I'm very happy to open the SEO plugin afterwards, because I know the architecture is right. So after all of that, yes, please use an SEO plugin. I'm not suggesting we go around uninstalling Yoast and Rank Math SEO Press. Please do configure sitemaps, set your titles and descriptions, use canonicals properly, control indexing where you need to, add appropriate structured data and schema. Use the tools that these plugins give you. But now the plugin is supporting decisions that we've already made when we built the website. We've already decided which pages deserve to exist. We've thought about how the site is structured. We've created meaningful pathways between all that related content. And we've built templates that reinforce that structure. And we've considered performance. We've thought about what the client is going to do after launch, 3 months, 6 months, a year. Then that SEO plugin becomes incredibly useful, because we're no longer asking it to solve problems it was never designed to solve in the first place. So if I have a well-structured service page with useful supporting content, good internal links, and a clear role in that website, then setting the title, the canonical, the description, the schema, adding it to the sitemap is the finishing technical layer. If the page has no clear purpose and nothing links to it, filling out those same fields doesn't magically rescue it. It does nothing. So just think about your SEO plugin as part of your toolbox, but not the architect, not the strategy. And that really brings me back to the one idea I want you to remember from all of this. SEO is a property of the website. It's not something we install. It's the result of lots of decisions all working together from the very start of the project. It's the content we create, it's the pages that we choose to publish, and the reasons why we choose that page in the first place. It's the way that we organize these pages, the journey that flows. It's the way that we generate the templates that build them, that generate that output that then Google and search engines look for. It's all the links between those pages. It's whether the search engines can crawl and understand in context what this site is about. And it's also whether the site performs well, the speed, and whether the people managing that website keep that structure, all those good things intact over time. And yes, the metadata, the technical controls of our SEO plugin helps us to manage these, but only when we get those underlying decisions correct. If we get those architecture wrong from the beginning, if we think about SEO as a bolt-on, then these plugins just can't rescue the website. It's too late. But get them right, and the plugin becomes exactly what it should be, a really useful tool to support a website that already makes sense. So enjoy the green SEO light. Just don't confuse the SEO plugins with SEO strategy. If anyone wants to contact me afterwards, you'll find me in these places, but I'm mostly active on LinkedIn. QR code goes to my LinkedIn profile, and I'll pop a link in the meetup page, or Duncan can share that with you later on. And thanks everyone for listening to what I've had to say about SEO plugins and strategy. I'm happy to take questions, disagreements, plugin arguments, whatever you've got. You can throw at me. I'll get rid of the screen just now. Stop sharing.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part about Meetup is also that we can meet up with the speaker and we can question and have our own questions. And that's the most important part. I mean, for some, quite a lot of knowledge that we you know or not. And I mean, for some, I mean, people who have done the SEO for a long time, sophisticated SEO, so they probably have already know what actually will have been talked. But I mean, like also there will be some green hands, and then like they still need to know the knowledge. Um, um, but I mean, like from the your speech and like also all the slides, I think that we're talking about the SEO is not only about the tic tac, right? It's also about the strategy, and then like SEO plugin is only a tic tac. It's all the tricks that you can play with all the details. But when you're building up the website, and you have to have your strategy and like how the layout of your website should be built. I mean, sometimes I think about the SEO and also your website as uh, a report or article that we read in the university, which is like all the structure should be um, what actually the Chicago or the other sort of like the style it has to be. So like right now the standard will be setting by Google because Google has the most traffic. But if you want to see like there's a Bing and the other style of uh, the report style that you have to following the other style. But I mean, as the question that's probably the question you asking, the second question asking when we should think about we start to build up the SEO. I think that from the start of your planning your website, you should think about the SEO or the keyword has to how to um, plan in your keyword which page has to be your keyword and also for long tails quite a lot of people think well, I need the like the most important like the most traffic keyword but that is not the case at first the at first is the long tail is quite important after long tail is kind of like the energy and then like it will boost the like the energy will boost for the most traffic keyword, the main keyword that it will reach, and then after that, like all the traffic will juice up to the main keyword, and then Google will think of your website as a really structured website. And also for website, it's like the backlink is kind of like reference, like you if the other people using your report, and then like they will quote your report, and then like if the other website is kind of like a really a famous website, and then like that means a really um really well to see that a professional guy quoting your website. So your website, which means quite useful. I think that the logical is kind of like because like the Google engineer, they also graduate from university, and then they using this sort of logic as how you should build up your website. That's my logic about like SEO. And also sometimes you see quite a lot of websites, they are not really good at like doing detailed SEO, but their content's pretty good, but and also they still showing out from the page rank, and which because their content's pretty useful. The other party, if your content also quite useful, so we compete with all the details, is it? So that's what am my understanding about like what how we should do SEO if ideally what we should do. But let's say we handle from the other websites, the other like handle from the others. The website is kind of like all of a sudden like this auto structure and the other sort of stuff. So like we at first for my method to deal with this sort of website is at first I saw that all the structures, whether all the structures are useful or not really. So after that, uh, um, I think that we should first set up our strategy first, and then strategy first, and after that we try to focus on the details. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think what I'm seeing just now is
Mhm.
a lot of people are getting their website done from low cost developers.
Yes.
Maybe they're using AI. And what they're doing is they're creating a website from what the client's asking them to do, which is
Yeah.
fair,
Yeah.
but they're not asking those questions about should you be having that page, or how does that relate to your business, or how is that going to make you money,
Yeah.
or who's going to be searching on your website and what they're looking for.
Mm.
I think a lot of people are just having websites built and then they're finding that the traffic is not coming, and then they're asking, well, I must need SEO, so let's bolt that on afterwards. And
Uh,
what you said about long tail, I
yeah.
think is absolutely correct, because the way that people are searching and the way that the results are coming back now has completely changed.
Yes.
So it's not big keywords now that people are looking for or search. That still works for ads. So ads are driven by keywords, and that's always going to be money. But when people are searching for things, they're searching for long tail stuff. It's more,
Especially for the AI, the
yeah,
we call it GEO,
yeah,
which is like the long tail is more like the natural language is much more important than what used to be.
that's right. People are describing things. They're not typing in keywords like sink blocked, need plumber. They're saying things like, "There's lots of hair. I have a pet. There's lots of hair stuck down my sink. How do I unblock that?" And
Yeah.
that's long tail search, and that's usually being picked up on an article somewhere on a website, not a landing page, not a
Yeah.
service page. And that's why it's important when those people are going through and clicking through to those articles that have that information.
Yeah.
That's why it's important that you have structure that navigates back to what you do as a business and how you can offer
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how you can make money. It's
Yeah.
not about SEO plumbing Sydney or WordPress design Shazam. It's, how do I make money
Uh,
from this business doing XYZ?
and nowadays, I think that different from what used to be is like generate quite a lot of page doesn't gonna help for your website because you have to generate a really useful page instead of like the like you generate thousands of page and then like this totally like auto sense and then like because I mean like at this stage like generated AI is useful. I mean like it's used by everyone. So like content is not as shortage as what used to be. Yeah, so right now it's like a useful content still like the reaction of the user of your website is much more important than how many pages that your website has. So
Yep.
especially the AI stage is like, and also like you think about that, it's like there gonna be like thousands of like millions of pages on one website, but it's all generated by AI. But Google is not going to crawl or index it at all because it's gonna use quite a lot of power. Like Google as a company they still have to consider about the cost of crawling your page, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like
Totally.
crawling all the internet gonna consume quite a lot of um, power. I mean, like electricities and then computing power and the other sort of stuff. So at this stage, I think that at the AI stage, as like what's the reaction of the user of your website? That will be quite important. I think there will be one people actually still asking a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to know how to if you can read it. Visualize the structure.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes,
you.
I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you for you guys for the sharing. I have a question. I really appreciate about the theory of construction. So here's my problem. Recently, I'm changing my actually my website has recently been transforming from a personal website to another. Actually, it's about tourism website. It's a studio website. So I want to know. So based on the constructor theory, I changed the whole constructor, right? So, but a little bit a link because when I was doing my personal website, I talked a lot about the Chinese culture and about the place I've been. So, do you guys have any suggestions about this kind of situation? Thank you.
What
You
do
want
you
me to
think?
go
Yeah,
first? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you first, you first, yeah.
I think moving from a personal website into a company or structured website, I think you've got to take away what people were finding useful on your personal website. If you've been going around and you've been talking about culture of places, places that you've been, the food, how people have been talking about what to see, what unique things that you've found, that's information that those people are looking for. That's stuff that you can't find if you just Google TripAdvisor or stuff. That's your personal insight, your personal knowledge of that. And that's really, really powerful. Um, I would say try not to lose that personality if you're moving to a more structured site. Bring that along. Um, keep all that information. Keep that personal information. If you're trying to make money out of it, then think about what information on your website is people finding really, really valuable, and how can you monetize that? But
Mm.
keep that rich data, that unique perspective that you have there. Don't move away from it completely, because I think you've got a real gold mine there, and that's what people are looking for just now. People are looking for uniqueness. Even in AI, when people are typing in information, that's what AI is looking for. AI is looking for unique stuff that describes things from a personal point of view that it can't find anywhere else. So that'd be my advice: is to keep that personality that you've had, and just try and keep that structure, put better structure, better internal links that people can find out what you offer. But they'll be landing on all those pages that you're describing all the culture, but then have good links and be able for them to journey through to see what you can do and what you can offer to them.
For me, I think that for shifting from personal website to a company website, that my suggestion will be totally start a new website instead of using your personal, and then you can put your backlinks and then for the others. Because if sorry, if you're shifting from personal to a company, that will be a totally a different style of company. I mean, like a different style of a website. So Google, I think that they have the history of your website. Um, I mean, firstly, it's a blog, and then after that, it's become a business. And then I think that's if you're doing business, that's you still keep sharing the knowledge, but also if you're doing business, you separate your platform, and then you can put all the backlinks of your business website and separate it from the personal blog website. If anything happened that you have two websites, I think that Google is not going to um, I mean lower your personal website. But if you're doing business, I think that there will be a high possibility Google probably will um, penalty your website? I'm not really sure, but I think that's I would just a guess. Yeah. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I just think be careful that you
Yeah.
don't lose that personalization if you are creating a
Yeah.
company website,
Yeah.
because that unique content is what's driving people to the website.
Yeah. There will be only, I mean, different people have different ways of doing the website. It's only different strategies, and then we just reach the same goal. It doesn't really matter which way that we're going. Yeah.
There was a question in the
Yeah.
chat from Joe
Yeah.
talking about visualization,
Mm-hmm.
site architecture visualization,
I can remember.
um, talking about tools like
Yeah.
Screaming Frog,
Yeah.
Sitebob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use Screaming Frog. I've been a Screaming Frog user for many, many years, and it's good. It allows you to, it crawls, if someone hasn't used it before, Screaming Frog crawls your website and it shows you visually all the links between pages. So it's a good way of finding orphan pages.
Yeah.
But I would say don't rely 100% on that because all it does is create maps between pages. It doesn't tell you what the important pages are or how people journey through your website or what they're landing on.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to need things like uh, Google Webmaster, it's Google Search Console, and Google Analytics. Search Console is going to tell you any issues in your website architecturally, if things are orphaned or people can't reach it. So that's good to know from Google Search Console. But Google Analytics, that shows all the customer journey stuff. So that's going to tell you where people are landing, where people are going.
Mm-hmm.
Google Analytics, the new version is a bit more complicated than the universal one. You've got to build a lot of these reports, but there's good tools and tutorials on YouTube that show you. You just Google, I'll do a search for Google Analytics and user journey. And you'll find lots of tutorials that allow you to create reports, and that will tell you where people are landing and how they're actually journeying through to your service pages as
Yeah.
well. Because I mean, you'll know who am I talking to? You'll know, Joe, what the important pages that you want people to land on, so that they get your content, get in contact with you, buy your stuff. So Google Analytics is the best way to have a look at that user journey to see where people are landing on. And if you can see that people are landing on some article pages and then just dropping off, then that's a good hint that you should be adding some call to action within those articles to go elsewhere, to go to your service page, to go to in the direction of where your services are. So things like Screaming Frog, good,
Yeah.
but not the whole strategy, just part of it.
Yeah. Um, are you using the paid version or are you using the free version?
Yeah, I use a paid version.
You use it. I still using the free because after I think that's the from 19 and then after the upgrade to 20 and 20 is kind of different. 19 which is like if you got the key and then you can use a multiple on multiple
Yeah, no,
computer but right now. Yeah.
the free version is good and it just indexes and it's got a lot of useful
Yeah.
information. But the paid version now, the newer
Yeah.
version, you can connect it to things like Google Analytics
Oh,
and stuff. And now it's
okay.
starting to give you more insight. It's becoming
Yeah.
more of a online SaaS tool rather than a product that you
Uh,
just have on your local computer that scans.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try the paid version. Yeah. Um, apart from that, I still think that an AI, like a generative AI, and then like um, right now is so used. So like if you check about your page, there's actually if there's like the URL, there's no one really visited at all. You delete the page. You delete the page totally. I mean like, but there's the one point that no one actually really visits, but you think that in the future that people are still going to use it, you keep it. But I mean, like you, if you build up the page totally for nothing or just for a number of pages that you want added to your web page and totally delete it, because like it's gonna cost Google like money to crawl your page, but finally they find it useless, and like Google will just totally give you no point, and also going to deduct the credit from your website, right?
Absolutely. You want to make sure that Google, and all search engines, you want to make sure
Yeah.
that Google understands what your website is about.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
if you have content that's not related to your business or how you make money or how you sell things, then that detracts from your overall knowledge and context that Google has. For example, on one of my old websites, I had a blog where I've got um, I've got a Canon printer, an old Canon printer, network printer,
Mhm.
and I wrote an article that told you how to set it as a static IP address, so
Mhm.
that every time your network rebooted, you didn't have to re-add it into Windows
Mm.
as a new device, a new printer again. And that was my top content for about 4 or 5 years,
Mm.
ranking number one
Yeah.
for printer network static IP. But it had nothing to do with my web design business.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I find it great. I'm on number one for this, but it has nothing to do. And
Mm.
I had to get rid of that article because I don't want to be appearing in search results for printers and
Mm.
configuring printers.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the same. If you're looking at web analytics and you see that your articles are generating a lot of interest, but it's got nothing to do with your business, then yeah, you might want to either refactor the article, rewrite it, and push people towards for your business, or consider just, that's not helping my business and just get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe says he retails board games.
Yeah.
Every web page needs a reason. Yes. Yep. How can I increase the importance of each product single page for consumers and search engines?
Oh.
Well, that's this. Yep. If you're selling stuff, then what I would say is have a think about what questions people are going to ask about that product. So let's just take like a board game, for example. People are going to ask, how much does it cost? Who can I play this with? Is it suitable for children? Um, you know, um, can I still use this in 2 or 3 times? In 2 or 3 years' time. So think about all the questions that people are going to ask about it, and that's where you kind of create your content around, and because that's stuff that people are searching for.
Yeah.
Why would they play the game? How does it help? Yeah, you want to be trying to answer as many questions that people will have that are searching around these games, and build up that content that search engines can find
Yes.
for that.
Yeah.
What I
I think. Yeah, I think that's you have to build up also the internal links, and then also the product page is like actually quite important. So like you write all the articles about the product, and then like make the link direct to the product page. So like all the content juice will juice up, all the traffic will juice up to the product page. So that's how my logical for build up like juice like boost up um the product page. Yeah.
Yeah, so you
Internal.
can certainly add extra information to a product page to make it more contextually aware
Yeah.
for Google.
Mhm.
But just think about your own searches when you're looking for something. How many times have you landed on a single product page when you're doing a search? I would say pretty much 0 times. What you tend to um, land on is informational pages about something. So you tend up with a problem or an issue or something you're trying to do. Maybe it's a gift for a child, a gift for a family. Maybe you're going on holiday and want something. Maybe you want to disconnect from computers and you want to, have some connection time with your family. Now, that's the sort of stuff that people are searching for. That then leads to articles, and then those articles should point and navigate that user into your single product category.
Yeah.
And when they land on that single product page, the text on that product page should reinforce what they've been searching and how they've got to that product page. Because if you're searching for something and you're starting to build up all this information, then you land on a page and that is disconnected with what you've been searching for. They're just going to go away in something else. So think about where people are coming from. And when they land on your single product page, that needs to be part of the journey. It should look similar. It should talk about similar things that people have been looking at to get to your single product page. Because if there's that disconnect, it's like when you're on Facebook and you see an ad and you click on the ad and it takes you to a landing page and it's got nothing to do. It's maybe different colors, different photo. It's trying to sell a different message, and you're like, what the frack is this about? And people just skip. So that's why I think that the user journey is important. People will not really land on your single product page from like a Google search product page, buy something. They're in research mode. They're going up this kind of content sales marketing ladder. They start with low hanging stuff and then they narrow it down and narrow it down. And when they do get to your product page, that product page needs to reinforce all that stuff that they've been looking at to get to that page. To then has to get over all the objections, answer all the questions. You need to be able to trust that company as well. So you've seen articles come up that reinforce stuff in the article. That name pops up, that name pops up. They finally end up narrowing it down to 2 or 3 people. They land on your product page. Your product page then reinforces all that information that they've been going. And then that pushes them over to be a buyer. So you really have to think about the whole context rather than just that single page.
Will, I got a question. Which strategy will be better? I mean, like putting as quite a lot of content, let's say thousands of words, and then like you put a table of content on top of it, which like got navigation, and when they click, and they will reach the. This one will be better or different URL, and then like you got different keywords and focus, and then probably only 500 words or 700 words that and then just to reach like the maximum people can read. I mean, like which way do you think that it will be better?
I'm all for just reinforcing why that person's there in the first place and where they've come from. And that can be 200 words, it can be 500 words. If they're buying a really expensive item, it might be more words. But the amount of content, I don't think really matters. I think it's what the content says and how it reinforces how that customer's feeling, how that person, what the reasons they want to buy, the objections they want to buy.
But let's say I convert all the long tail into one page and then put it in a like on top there's a navigation there, and then after that there will be all the questions. Or I put it different URL and then get it. It's like which method do you think that will be better?
Yeah. So that depends on your content strategy. What I tend to do is I have 4 or 5 big pillar areas. So I target not-for-profit and companies, organizations, not-for-profit charities, and they are interested in things like security and governance and content generation and grants and proposals, that sort of stuff. So I pillar my content with like these 5 or 6 big pillars that my customers are interested in. Okay. And then I write one big article, okay, that's like a pillar content article that's got everything in it, all the big stuff. And then I link out to more detailed supporting articles. And they're all linked back to that pillar content. That pillar content then goes to my service page. It says, because they will land, as you say, they'll land on these long tail keyword articles, and then they'll click through. And eventually, my strategy is that they lead to the big pillar article, which tells them everything they need to know, that sums up everything. Yep. Which then leads them to the service page. So I think having one page that says everything, maybe from a product, is probably not the best point of view, probably not the best strategy. I think having lots of smaller articles that go really in depth with that one topic, that one question, that one issue, but then they can link back into a broader article that describes everything, and then they can link out again into smaller articles.
From what you told me, I think that my strategy in the future will be as a common question, a common content that I'll put it in a one page as a general information, and then like if there's some specialized question, I'll put it in a special a page, and then like people will just go there, and then like but I'll also build up all the linked all together. I think that you mix up the strategy and then like all together, that will be a better solution instead of using one, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
when you think about people, when people are searching for things and they come across an article, they're probably not in buy mode at
yeah,
the moment. They're just in research mode.
yeah.
So you need these detailed articles, and that's what Google and AI pick up on.
Mm,
But
mm,
you need to think about the user journey. They've read about this like long tail answer that you've got,
mm,
and then you need to give them a link to the broader topic,
mm.
kind of push them kind of further up that, because you can't really link uh, an article, a long tail article, directly to a sales pitch because people are not ready. You need to provide more links in that journey to warm
Yeah.
them up as a lead and then point towards your service or your product.
But see, right now the search engine actually it changed a little bit because like nowadays people see the AI like if they ask for a natural language and then they will cover the AI will give them the answer. And then, so it turns out I sort of forgot 50% or like the sort of forgot how many percent, but quite a lot. Like it will be no click search like nowadays. And then like so do you think that in the future we read an article or read a content that will be still quite useful and like
I, I think so. I think this whole zero click AI stuff, I think it's useful.
yeah.
Um, but I think at the end of the day, when people are making purchases, when they're parting with their money,
Hmm.
they still want to go and have a quick look at who's providing that thing. And
I,
it
I,
it
I,
it depends on what it is.
yeah,
If it's just a $2, $5, $6 utility
yeah,
purchase,
yeah,
people are probably not going to care and they're just going to click from that zero like AI and go and purchase a thing.
yeah, yeah,
But when
yeah.
you're talking about big ticket items, just say you want to replace your Apple Mac computer or your PC, or you're
Hmm.
buying a new sofa,
Hmm.
or you're thinking about buying a car,
Hmm.
you're not going to type something in Google, get an AI result and purchase that car. You're going to do more detailed research. You want to know, just say a car, you want to know
Now,
about how much its value is going to
now
depreciate.
for me, I'll ask some more question to AI. After that, I go gathering all the summarize and then like I make the decision and then like I search what actually the actually like for me, I just bought a second-hand laptop for Linux because if I want to build up a totally isolated environment for the WordPress, so I purchased a second-hand um, like a laptop, and then like it gave me a result of you have to choose Lenovo. They said Lenovo is better, and then I'm not going to promote that brand. But the only thing is like, I say that why it's better because they said that for Linux we don't need a really high-end uh, capacity of the CPU or RAM or the other sort of stuff. But what we need actually is usability and also durable and also how tough is that it can work for our environment. And then for CPU part, like for WordPress, it's like we don't need that powerful stuff. And then like for battery is quite important and screen is quite important. And ask quite a lot of questions, ask again and again and again. And turns out like it showed me that it also tell me the specific specific like version like which year that's the Lenovo computer that I need to buy and like all of a sudden I said why I need he like the AI told me that the keyboard is quite like the distance of the keyboard as like the feeling and the comfortability of like the other all the other stuff is quite useful is quite suitable for you to use as a local WordPress environment to build
Yep.
up a website. So for me, I think that I don't know about the others, but so for me, I'll just keep asking AI and again and again. I'm not going to click even the website at all.
Do you
Yeah.
know on every AI, every chat GTP, every Claude, every
Yeah.
result that comes back, you
Yeah.
see that little bit of text at the
Yeah.
bottom?
They are searching the website. Yes.
Yeah. No, it says AI can make mistakes.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally.
So if you're in Google and you
Yeah.
just keep asking questions and asking questions and asking questions,
Hmm.
and it comes up with a link, you just go buy. Is that what you do?
Uh,
Buy that laptop, the one that's recommended, just go buy.
um,
Yeah.
I mean,
Buy. Okay, so
as they say,
just say it wasn't a $300 laptop. Just say it was
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
hundred thousand
yeah,
dollar
yeah, yeah, yeah.
car.
That would be a different story. Yeah, that would
Are
be a
you gonna
different
just
story.
Google search? Okay, oh, it come with a car. I'll buy
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
because it's only like let's say $500. I mean, like $500 is like for a laptop.
that's what I'm saying about utility stuff. Everyone
Yeah, yeah.
has their own limit of how much is they can spend, and they don't care about it. For example, I've got these monitor
Yeah.
headphones. Yep, I bought them 6 years ago, and the insides were all coming away. So rather
Mm-hmm.
than buy one of these, I Googled,
Mm-hmm.
and AI came back and it said, you can replace just
Oh,
this
yeah.
headphone bit for
Cover.
like
Yeah.
$10.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fantastic. And it sent me a link. It had a link to Amazon, and I
Mm-hmm.
clicked on it and I looked at it and I bought it because I don't care about $10.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
true.
These are $300 monitor studio
Yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah. Yeah,
If
yeah.
I was looking to replace this and it
Mm-hmm.
came up with, oh, here's a link to $300, I'm not going to click and buy that. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to go out and have a look and product compare and see if we can get any more deals,
Ah,
see if
yes.
this is the
Yeah.
best one.
Yes.
That's when I start linking out. AI
Yeah.
is good, but
Yeah.
AI can make mistakes, and people
True.
have this limit as to how much they're willing to part
Yeah.
with before they start questioning.
Yeah. Yeah. As you told us, it depends on how much actually the product is.
Yeah. Yeah. So a $500 laptop is different from a $50,000 car or a
Yeah. Yeah.
$70,000 new sofa or stuff like that. So I think there's still room
Yeah.
for people to use AI for the
Mhm.
grunt stuff,
Yeah.
do product comparisons. But when they come to purchase something, I
Hmm.
think that's it. I think we're living in the time now where people are then linking out and looking at the stuff, the links that AI is giving them, and
Mm.
then doing the comparison, finding out who's trustworthy, seeing what the product really is. And that's the information they're getting from your website, the client's website.
Mm.
It's still feeding into AI, but it's just a different way of doing things now. It's not AdWord, it's not keyword driven. It's more specific, more conversational things that people are having. And those results that AI are giving us back are from those kind of long tail, detailed articles that clients have on the website, which is great. And I
Mm.
think the SEO strategy needs to evolve and look at that and think how if AI is showing all these results from long tail and articles, how can I then employ my strategy to make them, go deeper into the website, go to the product page, go to the service page, and purchase from there rather than just stay in AI and do all this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions？还有问题吗？写中文也可以，然后是我也可以给你翻译一下。Yeah, I mean, like in anything, any more questions?
If no one's got any more questions now, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can contact me through the meetup page. Duncan will provide some
Yeah.
information on the meetup page,
Okay.
or you can find me on LinkedIn, where I'm mostly on LinkedIn. I'm on X sometimes as well.
Yeah.
But if you have any questions, please give them to Duncan.
And,
Or
and also we're also holding the online meetup from Australia. So like sometimes you guys can subscribe the channel and then like see if there's a meetup. And also you are also doing the Elementor meetup, right?
That's right. So I do the WordPress Sydney
Yeah.
meetup, which is at
Yeah.
6:30 Sydney time PM. I do the Elementor meetup
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
at the same time. So
Yeah. So if you guys got any problem with Elementor, I mean, like I'm not using it as a because I think that I mean one part is not it's not really bad because like they got the quantity of the users, right? And like so there will be quite a lot of same as a website. If you got already got people using it, there will be quite a lot of plugins like will work with this page builder. Compared to what I'm using like GeneratePress, it's like or generate blocks, and like it's kind of like not quite a lot of people using it. So like the plugin are actually trying to um, service this page builder is like quite rare. So I mean, right now I'm kind of like I think that's everything exists for a reason.
yeah, absolutely. It depends on the clients.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
I use Generate Press and Generate Blocks as one of my stacks.
yeah,
And I find that works well with technical teams like sales and marketing teams.
yeah,
They
yes,
understand that, to clone a page is like a starter and then they can update the blocks and that's fine. But when you got a really non-technical client
hmm,
who doesn't understand how to build stuff, is non-technical, all they know is that they have to build a landing page that's got a picture, a pretty picture, some text, and a button. And they don't want to worry about containers or grid or flex. They don't understand. They just want to drag and drop something that looks good. That's where
yeah,
That's
yeah,
where I
yeah, yeah.
find Elementor works.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like Elementor will build a really beautiful website. I mean, like with quite a lot of action and like a lot of stuff and like
Yeah.
really fancy stuff. But if for technical part, like, as we want to just see a website which is like, cause Google the search engine are not going to see whether the website is fancy or not. They are not going to tell about it.
Don't care. Don't
They
care.
don't care that much. As
And
long as
you have to
yeah,
think about support issues as well. If I have a non-technical client, I give them generate press to generate blocks.
mm-hmm,
And I tell them that and I give them documentation. I can guarantee the next time they create a landing page, I'm going to get an email to say, how do you do this? Which option to choose? How do you this? Whereas I've got to balance that with if I give them Elementor and they can
yeah.
just drag stuff visually on the screen, and okay, it might look a bit half-arsed, but it does the job, but I
Mm.
don't get a support ticket, which is
But
a
but
win for me.
yeah, the only part is like when I build a website, I want to make everything into a structure. Let's see, like for January blocks, it's like you put everything in a container, which means like this part and this part. It's like everything structuralized. But for Elementor, if let's see, like no one really use it as a structuralized page
Yep.
builder. So like everything's like you see at the front, it's all the same, but at the back it can be a really messy structure or can be a really tight structure. It really depends on how you build up. But like from the front, it's all the same. But when the search engine trying to read like Google will try to reach your website, their program will see the difference. But from personality, that's the personal that we cannot tell the difference.
Yeah, and that's why I like using those two stacks because yes, I could build everything in generate blocks and generate press, and it'd be really good structure. It'd be fast. It would look really good. I'd be happy with myself.
Yeah.
But then if a client is going to take 10 times as long and send three support requests, then is that a good use of my time? Or do I just give them Elementor and
Mm,
their web page looks a little bit messy? It might be a couple of points lower on Core Web Vitals,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it gets the job done.
Yeah.
And I don't get a support ticket, and
But
the client can do it
but
themselves. I've got to weigh that. Is it okay to have 96 LCP rather than 98
that,
LCP? That's kind of what I was getting at in the talk. Don't spend time. Like don't spend what this is for me. I'm unwilling to spend
hmm
3 times as long creating a project when
hmm
I can create a project in a third of the time that is a little bit messier,
hmm
but allows me to do more stuff.
Ah,
So I've got to weigh that as a balance. Me as a
yeah.
perfectionist, I could spend months on a site and doing it all
Oh,
natively in blocks. And it
yeah,
looks through and it feels good and it gets
yeah.
99% in Core Web Vitals. Or I could spend 3 weeks doing an Elementor handover, get the money, go to the next project, and not receive any support requests. That for me
Yes.
is a business win as
And
well.
also, I think like right now, elementary is getting much easier because like they got an AI generated function, right? Is
Ah,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Everything's
like
got AI.
just a. I mean, for easy customer, you just like AI generate it. Because for some customers, they only looking for a name card for their online name card, right? And then that's it. And then like
Yeah,
yeah.
easy.
So di different from quite a lot of Chinese people actually. For mainly the Chinese people building on website, they mainly looking for doing international trading,
Okay.
international business. So they have to catch up the SEO part and the other part. But for locals, quite a lot of people actually they only doing local business. So like they only need a website as their name card. I got a website and that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have customers, I have commercial cleaners, and they've just got a one-page website.
Yeah.
It runs an Elementor. I don't think I've had a support request from them for like 4 years. They
Hmm.
just go in, they change their details, their pricing, maybe their hours of
But
availability.
the problem they also need traffic, right? And they don't ask for SEO at all.
No, no, because most of those are word of mouth. Um,
Ah,
and they just need a website to tell people to go to fill out a contact form. A lot of them will get calls. They're not so worried about SEO. Some of them do come up in SEO, but SEO is not their major way of getting clients. It's more word of mouth, more
yeah.
corporate people, more, okay, you've got all these certifications.
Hmm.
Okay, or some a business owner will say, I've seen this company come in, are they a good company? So that's how they get their business. It's not through SEO. And again, that's maybe another valuable lesson for WordPress freelancers is that
Hmm.
not everyone needs SEO
Yeah,
strategy.
yeah, true.
It depends on where they're getting all their clients and leads from.
Yeah, true, 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 true. Okay, no one got questions.
Okay, I think we'll call it a day.
Okay, okay, thank you, Will. So thank you so much to showing on our meetup in China. Yeah,
Absolute pleasure. Thank you everyone
yeah.
for coming.
Yeah, we're trying to bring the WordPress community back to China. So that's what we think that will be a good idea for online because it really doesn't really matter where you are. Online meetup will be quite convenient.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. All good. All good. Thank you, Mac.
Thank you. Thank you, Duncan. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank
Hopefully
you,
speak to
everyone.
you again.
Bye.
Bye.